right? Linear content is being pushed just in a very different way.
I don't understand. Because isn't this why Facebook bought Instagram? So like Instagram is an application where you can find strangers. It already is sending you similar things. You look at it for a short time and you like the content and you move on, but you're looking at stranger things or you're following communities or you're following artists. So what I think would have been better is if they maybe they can not merge Facebook and Instagram, but maybe like have an Instagram feed on Facebook or something where it's not necessarily your Facebook that is being displayed, but maybe it's your Instagram if you want to hook up that account together. Like, but it gives the user the choice whether or not they want their content out in the public. And then but Instagram already has it all set up. And so when you make an Instagram account and you set it to public, you're agreeing for your stuff to be out there so other people can follow you or find you.
Right, but I mean, again, it's the questions, all of your questions are correct. They're just from the point of view that doesn't interest Facebook Meta in any way, right? They don't really care about the point of view of the content creator. They care about the point of view of two sides only, and one is their revenue making side, and which is ads, and two is how do they make their influencer, right, more alluring? Like, how do they make them bring more people into the platform? And that is the only thing that interests them today. They used to be a social network. The term social network was pretty much coined, right? It wasn't coined by Facebook. It was actually, I think Twitter was more effectively in coining that term, but Facebook was the social network. It's no longer that. There's the old school users that are still there, that are using their actual name and are sharing personal thoughts and tidbits from their life. But look at how Facebook has promoted groups. Look at how Facebook has promoted brand content and sponsors, right? And when you talk about Instagram, look at how Instagram changed. In the past, you would only see what you were following on. And if you wanted to explore, you would go to a different page. Then when you finished catching up on your friends, it will show you a bunch of suggested posts. Today, you cannot unsee those suggested posts because they're embedded into the stream that you are watching for the stuff that you follow, the friends and the influencers that you chose to see. Right? So even though you're going through what you wanted to see, you're still getting content that you didn't ask for. And that's exactly what they want Facebook to do. And they'll continue doing that until people will start leaving, which probably won't happen because they are effective in analyzing and tweaking the algorithms to make it more, to enhance the glue and keep people glued to the screen. And I don't think so. And I really think that you and me are not the generations that they're pointing to. They want the fresh ones, those who are not encumbered by the history and the abuse, and they're gonna abuse some new people. And that's exactly what they're doing.
What you just mentioned, you gave me a new perspective because I was thinking too personally. I was thinking like people to people sharing. Right. But what I would see where I would use it and where it would be beneficial is if I actually saw local businesses. And so like I go to the homepage and maybe my local restaurant is having a special, I don't know, a special on Saturday night, and then they want to make an announcement and I could see it on my page. I'm like, that actually would be useful. Like I would be interested in seeing stuff that's going around along or what's going on in my community. That sounds useful.
But you already did that by joining your neighborhood's community or something, right?
Well, no, I don't. I don't join anything really, and I don't join businesses on their pages. But I am open to seeing what's going on, and especially if there's this company called Offline. It is local. It's like a website that was made locally in the Triangle area, and businesses sign up and they advertise things that are going on, like if they're having a special event or whatever, and you'll get notifications or you get coupons or something. And if Facebook had something like that, that would be pretty cool. But again, I don't want things like shoved in my face. Like I want to see the options, and then I want to choose what I want to look at. The problem with Facebook's UI right now is that like a lot of the stuff dominates the screen, and like this is what you're looking at right now. This is taking up the whole screen, and I'm like, no, I don't. And then I scroll past it, but I'm like, I don't want to do this. If like they had like an easy to read feed, and then I could be like, okay, focus on this. But yeah, I was thinking too personally. Like I don't want to see a stranger's kid's birthday party photos. Like,
oh, you won't. Trust me, you won't. You will see the latest funny memes from some influencer.
It's so stupid. Everything I see on Facebook that is memes, it's always like 2 months too late.
Well, that's because Facebook, right?
Yeah.
It's for the old people right now. the hip new gang is just elsewhere.
Yeah, we're on TikTok.
I was actually reading an article this week. I didn't save it, about this guy that figured out how to pause at the end of a page and bring the next page up. I mean, just continue it. Just like if you go on Amazon today, you on a phone, you hardly ever see next page. If you
right, because the moment you go to the end, it just continues.
Yeah, it continues. And this guy invented that apparently some time ago, and he was saying that he's sorry he did, because this actually created a monster, because it makes people stay online longer.
Yeah. Look,
interesting.
The person who invented the ad bar, right? Remember in website, there would be a bar at the top with the ad. Those were called ad bars. Yeah. So the person who invented that is sorry for that. Because these are all
are sorry people
who invented some technology. And yes, this is exactly what I'm saying. All of that technology is completely awesome. They cannot be responsible for the misuse of their technology, right? It has nothing to do with what they invented, because if they wouldn't have invented it, somebody else would come a week later and invent it, because every invention is a cumulative effort towards, right, a certain direction. Now, the marketing person who saw that and had a light bulb up his head and said, oh, I can make people stay longer. Those, I say, kill everyone. But
this leads, that's a perfect segue to this article here. It was the title was How Companies Subtly Trick Users Online with Dark Patterns.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
And
dark patterns is the practice of tricking you into doing something you didn't want.
You didn't want to do.
The most common thing is, you get a question, and let's say, do you want to cancel this subscription, right? And you'll see the no, keep me here in a huge big button, and you'll see yes, continue with like a very small link. That's a dark. That's a standard dark pattern.
So the article says like it's an unsubscribe option that's a little too hard to find. A tiny box you click thinking it simply takes you to the next page, but it also grants access to your data. And any number of unexpected charges that appear during checkout that weren't made clearer earlier in the process. Countless popular websites and apps from retailers and travel services to social media companies make use of the so-called dark patterns or gently coercive design tactics that critics say are used to manipulate people's digital behavior. The term dark patterns was coined by Harry Brignall, a UK-based user experience specialist and researcher of human-computer interactions. He began noticing that when he reported to one of his clients that most test subjects felt deceived by an aspect of their website or app design, the client seemed to welcome the feedback. That was always intriguing for me as a researcher, he said, because normally the name of the game is to find the flaws and fix them. Now we're finding flaws that the client seems to like and want to keep. I mean, there are so many ways of doing this, and the bottom line is to either keep you there or to get data from you. And this is why when you go some places and let's say you want to order something, or they say, how do you like this? Let us know. And you go and they said, so tell us, how do you like this? And you click 5 stars and continue. So now they already got that answer. In the continue, they said they may ask you what city you live in. And you put the city, and then there's a next. And as you go, they get another piece of information and another piece of information that by itself doesn't look like anything. But if you think about the end result, now they got everything in one thing. Why couldn't you do it all on one form? Because people will not fill it in. Because say, hey, I don't want to give you all this. You just ask me a question. But they manipulate you to do it. That's why they sort of like call it dark. So you're not aware that you're doing it, and you're doing things that you wouldn't do otherwise. And that's bad. And you see it in a lot of e-commerce situations.
But is it illegal?
No, it's not illegal. It's immoral. It's unethical.
There's no regulation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's checking
right.
to see that's where was that? Last week or the week before, we talked about a European group suing Amazon.
Yeah.
Right? About using dark patterns on their unsubscribe page.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
So there are those who are trying, but it's not.
I unsubscribed from something. I don't remember what it was years ago, but it was like I couldn't even figure out how to unsubscribe from it. I had to Google it, and Google took me directly to the link on how to unsubscribe it. And then I clicked it, and then it was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then it took me to a completely new page, and they're like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Then they clicked me to. Then they sent me to another page, and it was like, "Well, if you don't unsubscribe, here's an offer, and it's 50% off." And I'm like, "No, just unsubscribe." And I had to click it like 3 times to get it to not do it. And then I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't even find it. I had to Google it.
Yeah, we had an online company event a couple of weeks back. Actually, a month and a half back, and one of the things the company sent us Grubhub e-gifts cards. Okay, so we could lunch together because it's remote and all that. And so I registered to Grubhub's Grubhub Plus, so I'll pay less for the food shipping, and they also give you a first 30 days free. So I registered for that, and after the week has gone, I saw that I'm probably not going to order in that rate anyway, and so it doesn't make sense to me to be subscribed. This was before the Prime deal, and so I went to cancel. I go to cancel, and as you said, it's are you sure you want to unsubscribe? And then after I say, then it goes on and says, if we give you, I think they were offering like $15 in a gift card, right? If we give you $15, will you stay for? Will you not unsubscribe? I mean, I could have taken that, right? And then, after a month unsubscribe, the monthly is 10, I think. So it was basically, here, take $5. But it feels like, come on, people.
Yeah.
Right? I came here to unsubscribe. Allow me to unsubscribe.
Yeah. Why else am I here? Why are you asking me?
Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm not smart enough. I can't make this decision on my own. It's like, stop treating every person like a stupid kid. Come on.
Oh. Yeah.
The only time I actually did not unsubscribe is I had Paramount Plus, and I was watching a specific TV show, and it was over, so I went to go cancel, and they're like, "Oh, we keep you. How about for $1 a month for the next 3 months?" And I was like, 3 months for $3? I was like, sure. So I signed. I kept it, and I watched some shows on there. And then, of course, the next 3 months come back, and I go to cancel. And they didn't offer me a deal the second time, so I was like, okay, bye.
Yeah,
that's fine.
That's offer me that deal without me going to unsubscribe.
Yeah,
and
right.
Be upfront about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, yeah.
I just signed to a year free of Apple TV Plus.
Through the phone company?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kathy
they
got
have good shows.
Kathy,
watch For All Mankind.
I don't use it. Kathy uses it. And she got a year's free when she got her new iPad. And she told me the other day, she said, it's going to expire on the 26th. Are you going to get that thing from the T-Mobile? I said, okay. So I went in, and sure enough, did it, and everything was fine. So yeah, but we'll have to wait and see until next time. Anyway, listen to this one. A security firm and the U.S. government are advising the public to immediately stop using a popular GPS tracking device, or to at least minimize exposure to it, citing a host of vulnerabilities that make it possible for hackers to remotely disable cars while they're moving, track location histories, disarm alarms, and cut off fuel. An assessment from security firm BitSight found 6 vulnerabilities in the Mykodus MV720, a GPS tracker that sells for about $20 and is widely available. The researchers who performed the assessment believe the same critical vulnerabilities are present in other Mykodus tracker models. The China-based manufacturer says 1.5 million of its tracking devices are deployed across 420,000 customers. BitSight found the device in use in 169 countries with customers including governments, militaries, law enforcement agencies, and aerospace, shipping, and manufacturing companies. Can you imagine?
What does that mean? Is it saying that there's GPS chips in cars and that they're vulnerable?
This is something that you buy. Yeah, you buy a GPS tracker. Like you have a shipping company and you have like UPS. So you buy 5 million of these things and you put them in each car.
So it doesn't come.
It doesn't come built in. No.
Oh man, you scared me there for a second when you were reading that. It sounded like the GPS that comes in those fancy cars. My car is a dumb car, so it doesn't have GPS. So I use
It's a tracker that sells for about $20 and is widely available.
It's the Cisco thing all over again. If it's cheap and it's too good to be true, then it's too good to be true, right?
No. It's fine. Those things don't cost much, the trackers.
Oh, okay.
But this particular one has vulnerabilities that nobody ever looked at before. Imagine you driving and somebody suddenly, okay, let's switch off his gas. Let's turn his car off. Geez.
It sounds like a hostage situation.
Huh?
What was that hostage situation? I don't know if it was at the beginning of this year or last year where they locked down something. Was it gas? Like some cyber hack happened and they had to pay like millions of dollars to unlock it. What was it? I can't remember.
There was something over here with the pipeline.
Yeah, the pipeline. Yeah. It's it sounds like it's going to be a hostage situation.
Well, I mean, but they didn't say that it happened to anybody. They said that it is possible to do that with this.
Uh-huh.
So they said, don't use it now. I don't understand what it means. At least minimize exposure to it. What do you mean by minimize exposure? It's either there or it's not there.
Yeah. You have to, I don't know, take it out of your car and install a map on the dash.
That's fine. That is absolutely fine. All right. It's that time of day. There was one other thing here, which was interesting. Imagine you're working on your novel on your home computer. It's nearly finished. You have already written approximately 1 million words. All of a sudden, the online word processing software tells you that you can no longer open the draft because it contains illegal information. Within an instant, all your words are lost. This is what happened in June to a Chinese novelist writing under the alias Me Too. She had been working with WPS, a domestic version of cloud-based word processing software such as Google Docs or Microsoft Office 365. In the Chinese literature forum Elkong on June 25th, Mitsu accused WPS of spying on and locking my draft, citing the presence of illegal content. I don't understand. I mean, there's no way that she couldn't have kept a copy on her local computer.
Why not? If you're using something online, you don't have a local copy.
If you're using Microsoft
Google Docs, where do you have a local copy? Everything is in the web browser on the server.
You cannot save it to your computer. You cannot download it to your computer.
No, you can, but if you never did.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, why didn't she do that?
Yeah.
Back up.
Especially
First of
living
all,
in
I don't
China.
know that specific software, so maybe there isn't an option to download. But still, it's like, then she lost whatever was the last part of her work.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever happens here, right? It's not about shaming her into not doing something. It's about
absolutely
something really sinister going on when it comes to personal, private. But it's a great example of why cloud isn't the answer for everything, especially your personal photos and stuff, right?
Right. Absolutely. You cannot
That
depend.
cannot be the only one. Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing when people are taking pictures on their phone, and then, oh, my phone broke. I lost all my pictures. What do you mean you lost all your pictures? If these pictures are important, then download them to your computer, sync them to Google, and then download. I mean, there's so many ways, and it's not about shaming her. It's about others need to learn from that experience.
Agreed.
We all need to learn from that experience. You have something important, you back it up.
It's kind of scary that they had some kind of software or whatever, I'm assuming, that scanned her document. Or it could be maybe something more nefarious where somebody was like, we're going to shut her down, and they just said that it was something that was in the document.
Well, they don't need to explain.
You know, I know, but but I was thinking they could have either scanned the document and they're like, no, or straight up the whatever service she used decided just to block her.
Yeah, she probably put something in there that the authorities didn't like, or somebody in power didn't like, and they had the power to do that.
Yeah.
But if she copied it, if you copy your stuff, if you save your stuff to your local machine, then yeah, they can come and take the machine. And over there, I'm sure they can. Without, you know.
Time to go back to typewriters.
What?
I got something scary to share.
Yeah.
Let me share my screen.
Okay, so we need not to talk. Let Gal talk so it doesn't go away.
Oops, sorry. Where's that? Yeah. Okay. So this is a text conversation from a couple of days ago. G there, it's not me, it's a different name. Mine is only 3 letters long. That's a bit longer. G is an employee, and S is a high-ranking manager in the company, like CEO, CFO, CTO. Okay?
Okay.
And this is the conversation. Hi, G. Let me know if you get my text. And while bizarre, because it's coming from a different number, this number is a 620 something number that isn't identified by G. It's signed by the name, the full name of that manager. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's 4:33 p.m. 5:22 p.m., about 50 minutes later. Are you there? Another question. And hi, S. Yes. G responds, thinking it is that manager, an important person in the company, right?
Yeah.
I'm in a conference call meeting right now. Can't talk on phone. I need you to complete a task real quick. And the follow-up response is, oh, yeah, sure, right? I need to provide a client with an Apple Card. Can you confirm if you can grab some from any store? And then continue.
Yeah.
The main reason for the delay, the non-response at first was because this was immediately caught as a phishing scam. Okay?
Good.
But we asked the person to continue the conversation, see where it will go. Okay, so to show this to others and share this. If you ever get a text message from somebody that you know asking for just anything, right? And there's an action that is involved, always validate. Even if the person says they can't answer the phone, if the request seems bizarre, then look up the phone number, call that person, find a secure channel to talk with them, right? This is just a live example. And I know personally, not this occurrence, but about a year and a half ago, I know personally of a person who fell into a very similar trap, right? and fell through that rabbit hole, and uh, uh, only after losing a very substantial sum of money, right, realize that they were duped. That like because they were once they started, once the hook was in, uh, the culprit, they do not let go, and the moment you are in stress, then you lose your faculties. You make mistakes, right? So the time to stop it is before it begins. And I just wanted to show this example because this like is literally, I've been I've seen this firsthand from while this was happening, secondhand, sorry, while this was happening, and I just wanted to share this on the show because it means it might jolt into reality some people. So
Yeah.
this is like a bizarre one, and just to to explain what's going on here, right behind the scenes, the reason they are approaching you by name and using somebody high up in the company is because that information is publicly available in sites like LinkedIn and Crunchbase, and they should stay public. It's good information, but make sure it doesn't bite you in the ass, right? Make sure that you don't fall for the trap of being intimidated just because the big boss reached out, right?
Yeah, and don't look for it only in texts. I've seen this happen to one of my customers in email.
Yes.
That the boss says, I'm not going to be able to be at the office tomorrow morning. When you come in, could you blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And luckily they called me and they asked. And I said, send me the email. And they did. And I looked at the headers and I said, no, it did not come from your boss. So yeah, you need to, this actually happened a couple of times with a couple of different companies. And the last company that it happened to, which nothing happened, nobody fell for it, but they were asking us to do something that we're looking into right now, which is to, if it comes from if it says that it's from XYZ at your company and it's not coming and it's not being sent via the Delta Force server, put external on the subject line.
Yeah.
So
that's part of the filters that are very common today.
Yep. But yeah, that's it's a problem.
It is.
You learn something, Katie?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm like the worst person for a hacker scammer to go after because as soon as I don't recognize the name or it's an unknown number, I just immediately delete it. And sometimes people are like, "Hey, did you get my message?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't have you in my phone, so I just deleted it. I guess I'll add you now." But I just whatever it is, I just delete it.
No, that's
by the way,
fine.
That process, right? Of you getting a contact from a friend, when you're doing it face to face, that is what in security world it's called establishment of trust. That is how all encryption basically works. It's about exchanging an encryption key, right?
Mm-hmm.
So end-to-end point-to-point end-to-end encryption, as in Signal, for example, right, is all about that. Is you are contacting a person that you trust. The trust is established by the phone numbers that you both have, right? And you are exchanging the first connection. There is an exchange of keys, public and private keys, so that conversation cannot be cannot be duplicated. The endpoints cannot be duplicated. Nobody else can use that identity in this conversation. And what happens, for example, when one of the parties changes phones, right? One of the things you'll see in a Signal conversation, you'll see midstream that the fingerprint of the encryption key has changed because a new encryption key has been rolled, and that should trigger, right, an alert. And so if you didn't know that the person changed phones, suddenly you get that information, right? Stuff like that. So yes, the most basic part of it is make sure that when you get the number of the other person, it is always from a trusted source, preferably directly from them, right? Not always possible, but never trust something that comes in and demands action, right? And it's not from a source
you really
know.
you really also need to know to pay attention to the tone of the message. You need to know that you know the person, because they can spoof a phone number. Obviously, right. They put a name of somebody that you know. So you need to so, I mean, if you're getting an email tomorrow from me, Katie, and I said, "Hi, Katie, this is Amnon. Wasn't it fun last night?" And you say, well, wait a second. I'm not never say stuff like that.
Report him to the police.
Then you know, hey, something is, you get the idea? You need to know who you're talking with and how they normally talk or write you and say, this is different.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. Like anything that I get personally, it's super obvious if it's a scam or not, just because of the tone.
Right.
The only time that I wouldn't say I've been tricked, because I've never been tricked, knock on wood. But the thing that has come close to where I'm questioning it is when is my work email. They're like super sophisticated when they try to target your work email. And but I always what I end up doing is I immediately contact the IT department. Like the one that was kind of that I don't want to say it almost got me, but it had me questioning, like, is this legit? Is there was a company that I get external emails, and sometimes I almost think that labeling it as external doesn't do any good, because my company uses third-party businesses that we need to actually pay attention to their emails. So it's like, even if it's labeled as external, it can still it's still useful or still bad. Anyways, I got an email saying that, the company is switching, and this was external. The company is switching over to using this password system. And the month before, my company actually switched over how they were doing passwords or whatever, and they sent an internal email. So I was like, okay, is this a part of it? Like, I don't know. But I immediately emailed the IT department because, of course, it had a link in the email, and it was like, to follow through with this, click that, and blah, blah, blah. But I was like, I'm not going to click on any links because I know better. So I emailed IT, and they're like, nope, that's a scam. Don't click on it. But it looked legit because it happened at the same time. Yep. I don't know if it was a coincidence or if maybe they had insider knowledge that we were switching over our password stuff internally anyways. So but again, if I ever have a question, I always ask IT first.
Just be aware. That's the trick. Be aware of it. Just like when you walk at night, you should be aware of what's happening around you. You should be, when you're a computer, be aware of what's happening on. Yep. Good. All right. It's the time of day that we need to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Anything?
Farewell.
Anything else? Anybody need to talk about? Yes, no.
Nah.
All right. So thanks, Katie. And thanks, Gal. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Donna, Dina, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov, and Yael. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Again, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. Nick is on Wilmington's 980 The Wave and 107.9 FM. And you can tell your Echo device to just play 980 The Wave. Or you can always go to nickcraig.com and listen to the recordings. And on Tuesdays at 7 p.m., Nick and Brian do the Infection Podcast, which is for survival games and gaming on Twitch. So Tuesday evening, 7 p.m., twitch.tv/Infection Podcast. See you next week, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.
Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. We talk all the time about the digital media world, folks. It's loud and crowded. You need professionals like the folks at Oak City Tech to help you get through that. Go to oakcitytech.com. Tell them what you're looking for. I know they'll be able to help. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning, and each week we bring you a local small business success story. And if you're not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. But today we're going outside the Triangle to Fayetteville. And our local small business success story is Joan Richter with J&J Desktop Publishing out of Fayetteville. Joan is in CCW1. Their chapter name is Hall of Famers. That's FAYMERS, which we like a lot. They obviously meet in Fayetteville. They meet Thursday mornings online at 8 a.m. So if you want to get to know some real successful small business owners in Fayetteville, please join her chapter. Joan, good morning. Glad to have you on. How are you?
Good morning, Mike. I'm doing great. Happy Monday.
Back at you. Hope Father's Day weekend was good for everybody.
Yes, yes. Hope yours was good.
It was. I finished a cookie cake I bought at Food Lion on Friday for $6.99, so that tasted very well. I'm a big fan of that stuff. So,
good.
J&J Desktop Publishing, you help us put our words and pictures together, don't you?
I do. Yes.
And we think we're clever a lot of times with our words. And we're not, we get into the weeds sometimes when we try to tell everybody about our industries, don't we?
Right. We get all excited about it and want to tell everything about it. And we don't need to necessarily tell everything, but.
Yeah. And we don't need to mention all 18 things we do.
Right. Just 17's the limit.
Let's start with one or two and get going. And
right. You want people to contact you to get more information.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we need to leave something, leave them wanting more, as the comedians always say at the end of their show.
Yes.
And I've seen photos on websites and LinkedIn, Joan, that, the selfie shot, they've got their camera right here, and just pay the couple $100 for a professional headshot, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want that in the picture.
No, because when people are trying to find you, it's for a professional reason. So
right.
Go have the real headshot. Again, cost you a couple $100, and you're probably going to get something better than you can take on your cell phone.
Most definitely. Definitely a professional image.
Oh yeah, yeah. So what got you started into this? I know you went to University of Oklahoma. We're going to talk about that. Journalism and advertising, but have you always been a writer, stuff like that?
I've always, when I was a kid, I always loved drawing, so I always loved art, and I would write little poems and stuff. I wish I could find that because that would be cool to go back and read. But then when I was in high school, I got into high school newspaper. The guy I was dating at the time was the editor of that, so I was like,
Ah,
oh, cool, let's get into that, right? But I really enjoyed it, and then that continued to college, and I majored in advertising, journalism, and then majored in advertising. Um, and I just really enjoyed being creative and talking with people, and that's really how it got started.
do you remember your first client?
My first client, gosh, I was gonna, since we moved here to Tulsa, my first client, and that's when I created J&J Desktop Publishing. Before that, it was um, with the corporate America, and then just some freelance stuff. But officially, as J&J Desktop Publishing, I believe that was actually Tracy Huff, who you had on here
Okay. Yep.
a few weeks ago, and she's the one who got me involved in BNI. Um, and yeah, to take it from there. What is that? 18 since what 2005? I got in BNI.
Yeah.
So since then, yeah.
So are you looking for a client that comes to you and says, hey, I need help, or they come to you with, hey, I've got these 7 things I'd love to get out. Can you help me kind of tweak it and make it sound better?
Yes and yes. Yeah, and I get clients who like, I know I need something, but I don't know what. And sometimes you show them something and it's like, I don't really like that, but I know I don't like that. So
Okay.
that can be challenging, although it can be exciting and fun to put something totally new together that they love. So yeah, I get people who have existing stuff, they, like you said, they need tweaked. They just want another set of eyeballs on it. They want some suggestions, and I get somebody who wants a whole new project from beginning to end. So what I talk to the client, whatever they want, I am able to help put it together for them.
Are there some industries you have found that you enjoy talking about more than others, or it comes easier to you?
I love animals. So I love talking about and working with anything having to do with animals. One of my favorite clients, and one of my favorite actually 2 of my favorite projects. One is for Blind Cat Rescue, and they're a nonprofit, and I worked on a cookbook for them. So that was a lot of fun. I got to talk to a lot of pet owners, and put the whole cookbook together. And then another one was projects for our pet sitters, and got to combine the pictures of all the animals that they watch. So that was a lot of fun. That was more, I guess you could say, personal to me, because I love animals. And then another one that I really enjoyed working with was a builder. They had lots of things for me to help them with. So I got to learn some of the lingo and everything. And so in addition to me helping them, it was, I got to learn a lot. So those are kind of some of my favorite industries, so to speak. But I've worked with all industries for the most part, and I can work with all industries. Sometimes I just need more help and being educated on just what needs to go in there, what needs to go in their brochure or their flyer or their business card or their logo.
So let's go back to the cookbook. Were these pictures of yours in there and or recipes of yours?
Yes and yes.
Oh, very nice.
They had it. I don't remember the name of the company, but it was like a cookbook company that a lot of churches use and nonprofits, and they have all these templates to use, but you could also customize it. So I wanted to customize it. So normally they have the template and the fonts you can choose from, but it's like, no, I want to use this one and I want to do this. And on every page or every other page, I wanted to put a quote, something to do with cats or, animals in general. And we made a front section that was, one was Rainbow Bridge, and that was for all the cats who have since passed on to the Rainbow Bridge. That's from the Blind Cat Rescue and Sanctuary. That was their cats. And then we had another section where people could send in pictures of their cats and some other animals. And, they paid for it. It was like a fundraiser. So all that money was donated to Blind Cat Rescue then, and people got to have pictures of their cats in there.
Very nice.
That was exciting, and people loved seeing that.
Oh, yeah. You cannot go wrong with dogs or cats.
That's right.
Right. Now, I'm a dog guy. Let me say that up front. I've never owned a cat, but I know the passion.
Cats own you. You don't own cats.
But I know the passion cat owners have for their cats, so it's probably like same thing that dog owners have for their dog.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, your cat has already made an impression on our show today, correct?
Correct. Well, he was one of the ones who made me a little bit, come on, get off of me, Moonshine. I was like, I had the Zoom stuff. I was getting there, and let's jump on the keyboard, and yeah.
He was saying good morning. I'm sure
He
that's
was saying
happened.
good morning.
I'm sure that's happened before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, did he jump on the keyboard and just kind of look at you like, hey, I'm here?
Well, he was trying to crawl all over me, actually.
Okay.
So he probably just wanted to say, he's like, I want your attention.
Yeah, which again happens a lot, right?
Yeah, and he's a 3-legged rescue kitty, so I couldn't, I got to be a little gentle with him. So.
Now, I understand you have some creative names for your cats.
Yes, I do.
All right. So,
right.
What cat names do you have, and then we'll get into how you go through the process of coming up with those.
Okay. Well, we have 2 cats now, boy and a girl. We have Mojito. Yes, named after a mojito. And Moonshine, named after Moonshine.
I like it. Which one's the boy?
Fun cocktail names.
Which one's the boy?
The boy is Moonshine. He's our tripod kitty.
Okay.
And he just runs around like crazy. You'd never know he has just 3 legs, and he's amazing. Mojito's trying to get used to him because we've only had him since like February.
Okay. How old is he? How's Moonshine?
Moonshine is, we think 1 or 2.
Okay.
But it looks like he's gotten a little bigger. So.
All right.
So we're not sure. Next time we take him to the vet, we'll have them. That they were just kind of guessing when they first saw him. But I'll have them take a look at his teeth because they could tell more from the teeth on their age. I don't know if it's the same way with dogs, but yeah. I would imagine.
Probably so, yeah. So what's the process like coming up with a themed name like that?
Well, it's funny. The first cat we got, it was we think he got lost or somebody dumped him off or something. He was crawling in our Tulsa home, and we'd open the door, and here he trots in, and I'd wanted a cat named Asti, or an animal named Asti, like for Asti Spumante. So that was our first, was Asti. And then we wanted another one to, so Asti had a playmate. So we adopted from our vet's office, and we named her Bree. So we had wine and cheese. Nice. Then we moved to Fayetteville, and a friend of ours asked us if we wanted a cat that they had, because they also had a flying squirrel, and it was kind of the cat was attacking the squirrel. It's like, okay, we'll take the kitty. And I named her Mango. So we had wine, cheese, and fruit.
I like that.
Yep.
Take me back to a house with a cat and a flying squirrel. How does that work?
With a cat and a wine, what?
And a flying squirrel.
Oh, a cat. Oh, my gosh. Well, the cat was very young, fortunately. So this was, like I said, a friend of ours, and she had taken I don't remember if I think she took the cat to the vet, told the vet how, I've got this flying squirrel now and this cat. And the vet's like, no, no, no. You need to you need to rehome the cat or it's going to eat your squirrel. So they were desperate to find a home for it. It was actually a friend's mother. And so, when they told us, it's like, well, obviously we don't want anybody injured or anything. And I secretly would take, as many cats as I could. So, so we got Mango, and they all eventually got along great. All three of those are gone now, unfortunately, but they're still here in my heart.
Yep.
And we have Mango or Mojito and Moonshine.
Nice. I don't know that I've ever heard of somebody having a flying squirrel as a house pet.
That's the first time I've heard of somebody taming a squirrel and keeping that, but yeah, I've not heard of the flying squirrel. So.
All right. You had no desire to take the flying squirrel too, right?
That had never crossed my mind, actually, but
wisely,
not with cats.
Did you have a cat growing up?
No, we always had dogs.
Okay.
Yeah, and my mother didn't like cats. She said she didn't like how they got on things, got on the table, got on pretty much whatever they want to.
Yeah.
And so I always grew up with thinking that, and that thought. And then I moved to, when I moved away to college, one of my roommates, we had an apartment and she brought a cat in for the summer. So that was really my first, what's the word? Yeah, my first foray into cat life.
Okay.
And yeah, it was not too bad, but I had to move the plants I had to move, things on certain shelves. And it's like, I love decorating and stuff too. So it's like, I wasn't used to having to be mindful of that, but I am now at home.
Yeah. One of my sons has a friend going all the way back to high school, and their friend, they all graduated college, moved out, and he got married, and they got a cat, and the cat decided to climb into the Christmas tree and tip the thing over.
I'm sure that was not pretty.
You're not surprised that a cat would want to do that.
Oh, no. There's lots of videos out there with that. So,
oh, yeah. Yeah, cat videos.
I have a cat in a Christmas tree story, though, if we have time.
We do. Go ahead.
Okay. So our cat, Mango, we had about an 8-foot Christmas tree, had being the key word. And the other two cats we had, they would lay under it, but they would never, try to climb it or anything. So we were lucky there. Mango, she didn't try to climb it, but she would lay on the ground on her back. And apparently she chewed the wires for the lights and didn't see her do it, but kind of saw her walk away. And she had this little hair lick on the back of her, on her back that never really went away. So those lights didn't work then. So what we wound up doing, and it was like a 3-tier thing, so the bottom tier did not work with the lights. So we just took that bottom tier off, got rid of it, and we had a shorter tree. And then the next year she decided to chew those. I was like, well, we can't really go shorter with the tree. It was already 4.5 feet. And it was a couple of years before we said, oh, duh, we can just be like we did before trees were pre-lit and, buy strings of lights and string it ourselves. So we did that. And I tell you, that was the best for decorating because it was much smaller and I could put all my stuff on it. So, you could hardly see the tree though. So my husband, Jim, didn't really like that part, but I kind of loved it.
And she didn't chew into that cord?
No, surprisingly. Yeah. And she passed, it was last year, so she's only had one Christmas one Christmas before that, I guess. But I'm worried about Moonshine this year. She's a chewer.
Okay.
So yeah, we gotta watch the mouse cords and everything because she'll go for them.
So let's talk about your time at University of Oklahoma.
Yes, sooner.
Full disclosure, I'm a Tennessee grad.
Yeah, I'm guessing by the orange shirt. I would say it's a little too
I
orange
wore
to
that
do.
just for you today, Joan. So I'm welcoming you to the Southeastern Conference. I'm happy to have Texas and OU coming in because it'll make for better football and baseball.
That it will.
Yeah.
That
But
will.
you wisely schedule your Saturdays in the fall around football.
I do, and I have even been known to not do things
Yeah.
like at an event or whatever. It's like, yeah, fine, just pick me up after the game, okay?
Yep. Yep.
And now, with the with Wi-Fi and all that, I can, watch something on my phone if
Yeah,
need
you'll
be.
be at a party sitting in the corner chair watching
Yeah.
your phone, and nobody has any idea why, and you're like, "Oh, don't bother me."
Yeah,
We're-
well,
we're-
they kind of, if they know me, they know why now.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
or at least I'll go check the score and watch some highlights. Depending what the event.
Yep. And I like these small college towns like Norman. And every now and then you hear somebody scheduling a fall wedding on a Saturday, and you're like, no.
Like, what's up with that?
You'd think if you're the hotel, I guess you want business, but you kind of want to put that out there. You're not going to have many people here. Or they set up, if they know it's a 3:30 kickoff, they have the wedding at 2:30 and the reception is watching the football game.
Yes, or at least have a separate room, or have the TV set up somewhere.
Yes. Yeah, that would be correct. But I always laugh about those stories at Alabama and Auburn, that, wait, it's the fall. You're not supposed to have that.
That's right. Do it on a Friday
Yeah.
or Sunday. Those aren't popular days for weddings or whatever, but just still.
Did you enjoy your time there?
I loved it, actually. I loved it. I didn't at first. I guess it was culture shock, kind of, being away from home, and having my own bathroom at home to having to live in a dorm with, 16 people on my floor and, one bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wait, what? I mean, many stalls and 2 showers, but still.
Yeah, we had, I think, 6 showers and about 8 sinks, and I don't know how many toilets, but yeah, it was interesting the first time. You're like, okay, guess this is my life for the next couple of years.
Right. Yeah. So that was, it was different. I made some really good friends. I got to really enjoy it. But I always wanted to go to Texas A&M. I went to high school in Houston, actually Katy, Texas.
Yep.
And a lot of my friends were going to A&M, and then a lot were going to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do the horn symbol on camera there.
You can do horns down. That's the
horns down. Yeah, I didn't want. Yeah, I did that. And so I had everything set at A&M. I had my roommate, my dorm. I had everything set, and then my dad was transferred to Tulsa, and he said, if you want us to pay for your college, you'll go somewhere in Oklahoma. So I was mad. I was depressed. I was everything, and the way I went to Oklahoma, because I really didn't know anything about it. My dad and I went to the library, looked up, we didn't have the internet then. So went to the library, did some research on the colleges in Oklahoma, and main ones I found were Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. I didn't want to wear orange and black. Nothing personal about the orange and the Tennessee. I really love orange now, actually. But I went there because of crimson and cream. I like the colors better.
Well,
how sad is that?
Yeah, no, you got to know your color wheel.
That's true.
Yeah. If you're not going to look good in orange and black, why get your dad to spend the money there? When did you guys, at what point in time in your senior year did you move to Tulsa?
5 days after graduation. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, and I remember I went to a graduation party. I think it was the night before. No, graduation day. Sorry, went to a party that night, and that was the last time I was going to see some of some of those people, at least for a while. And I remember my mother saying, like, be home at 10 o'clock. It's like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do, ground me?
Yeah, move me to Tulsa. We have a small connection through the state of Texas. You and I do. We lived in Sugar Land for a little while.
Okay, yeah.
And so this would have been, 90, 90 to 90, 89 to 93, I
Okay.
think. And
Yeah.
I miss the food. I loved Houston. I miss the food, but there's nothing like Houston hot in the summertime.
No, it's ridiculous. I remember going back and getting off the airplane
Yeah.
and that just hits you in the face.
Yeah, I lived 10 years in Florida, and it didn't come close because at least you had a breeze there in Houston. There was no
Right.
breeze.
What part of Florida?
Daytona Beach.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
We
Love
love to vacay at Cocoa Beach.
Yep. Right down the road.
Yep.
Learned a lot of things. Saw a shuttle launch from the beach at night, which is very
Yes.
impressive. And you see the shuttle take off, you see it in the sky, and then about a minute or 2 minutes later, you feel the rumble on the ground from the launch. It takes that long to
Yes.
get there to Daytona, but
Yes.
stand on the beach, it just kind of shakes it for a minute. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. We were on the Cocoa Beach Pier, the last one that we saw. That was a few years ago. And, you get there early because you want to get a seat on the pier because
Oh, yeah.
everybody's there. And then, you got to get your drinks and all that. And I remember, everybody getting their cameras ready. And then it was like, okay, it's been delayed 8 minutes. It's like, okay, time for another rum runner.
Yep.
Okay, now it's ready again. So it was about 2 hours delayed total, but it was fun. And now, like you said, like a minute later, it's like, okay, it's
Yeah.
probably over Africa now. And it's amazing.
Yeah. An old boss of mine from my days in Daytona would get on his boat, go out in the water to watch the shuttle launches and the rockets taking off. And he said that was impressive at night as well from a boat.
Yeah.
They're fun.
Yeah,
It's
my
beautiful.
husband, he lived in Merritt Island, which was, up the road from Cocoa Beach.
Yep.
And basically where Cape Kennedy is in that area. And I believe he said that he and his dad, I could be wrong on this, but I believe he said that he and his dad were, they were in the water watching the launch when the Challenger exploded.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't even imagine seeing something like that. And I think my stepdaughter saw it when they were in school. They were watching it on TV.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
fortunately, it's much happier now,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing what they can do with technology. And yeah, every time we go to Florida, we'll try to see if there is a launch that we can
Oh, yeah.
go see.
Yeah. No, those are cool. Give me your best story from James E. Taylor High School.
E. Taylor High School. Oh my gosh. If I looked back at it, it was new when I went there. Well, I think I was the third or fourth graduating class. And now I look back at pictures of it, and I don't know that I could recognize it. It's, so built up and everything. Oh my goodness. I loved high school. I really loved it. I had made some good friends and got active in, like I said, newspaper. Friday night football games were always fun.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't remember what they called it. But during the football games, they had, how you have the cheerleaders, you have all the like the pom-pom girls, and then you have just different things like stuff like that. And a few of my friends and we did I guess it was like a plaster resin, something. It was on wheels. And I think it was every time we scored, we would all push that thing to the other end of the field.
Nice.
Oh, and there's a cat falling off the table behind me. And, push it back. And we thought we were so cool. Yeah, a lot of good times in school. I was trying to think what else I did. I competed in some spelling bees and, oh wait, no, that was junior high. Oof. Gosh, I'm feeling old.
Tell me about the time you wore the pink high tops to your senior prom.
Yes, of course. How can I forget that? Yeah, this was, times of taffeta. You look back then at the prom dresses that, we wore in the mid 80s compared to what's now. It's like, it didn't show quite as much skin back then. Lot big poofy sleeves,
Yeah.
flowy taffeta, lots of ruffles. But yeah, a group of us, we had like pink high tops. I think somebody might have had purple ones. I'm not sure. But we thought, hey, some of the guys, they brought their checkered bands, and girls had the pink high tops. And we didn't necessarily wear them there. Like we wore our our heels that we had specially dyed to match our taffeta dresses, had to have that. But there was a time at the prom where we did put them on and, took some pictures and stuff. So, we were cool.
And you still have some of those pictures?
I do. I've got to get them out because those are so much fun just to look at.
Oh, yeah.
And the memories and everything.
Yeah. What was the 80s hair like at James E. Taylor High School senior prom?
Some of that Duran Duran. That there was a lot of Duran Duran. There, just a big boofy.
Yeah.
If you wore it, I have my hair kind of in a side ponytail now, but if you did it back then, it would have been like, way up here.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much what you see in the 80s movies, was true.
Do you recall who your date was at that prom?
Who my what was? I'm sorry.
Your date?
Oh, my date. Yes. Sorry, I got my I get their names mixed up. Moonshine, she's on the kitchen table behind me, and she's trying to take the tablecloth off and make a noise. So
Naturally.
yes, I do very well remember my dates. I went to 2 proms. I went to my boyfriend at the time. It was his senior prom, so I was a junior, so I went to his, and he was the one who was the editor of the high school newspaper. And then he went to Texas A&M, which was one of the other reasons, I was like, I gotta go to Texas A&M. And then my other one, my senior prom, I remember he and I dated for about 2 years. So yeah, good times.
All right. J&J Desktop Publishing. The other J is your husband, Jim.
It is. He's the silent partner.
All right. Did we clearly define our roles in the company,
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
that we are married?
Oh yeah.
All right. I have 2 questions. One is, what do you guys talk about at night? And 2, who breaks the tie?
Ooh. What we talk about at night depends what kind of day Jim has had, actually. And normally we'll just, I'll ask him how his day is.
Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. Each week we talk about the social media world, the digital media world, and what facts do you need to get out there and what's the best way to get them out to your current clients and your future clients. Drago and his team at Oak City Tech can help you. So if you go to oakcitytech.com, tell them what you're looking for, I know they'll be able to help you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you're not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest national networking, or the world's largest networking association. And our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill, but we have a lot of new and growing surrounding towns. You'll meet one of them today. Each week in Triangle BNI, 31 chapters, about 530 members get together. Our goal is to help each other grow our businesses. And our guest today is Steve Grice, owner of Grice Insurance Solutions. Steve is part of the core group in Smithfield called the Smithfield Strategy. They meet at 8 a.m. at the BIA building in Smithfield. Steve is also the secretary-treasurer for the group. Steve, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Mike. Doing well.
Glad to have you here. Steve kind of gets the trifecta. He is a small business owner, he's a Jeep enthusiast, and he's a pastor at a local church. So I believe, I enjoy firsts on the show, Steve, and I believe you're the first one that does it full time like you do, which we'll get into that. But insurance world, you've been doing it for a while, but you finally went out on your own. How's the stress level these days?
It's better. I mean, it's overwhelming. The first week or two was kind of overwhelming, but just trying to get trained and logged into all the vendors, and to go from a captive agency to having multiple carriers now, it was quite a stretch to the first couple of weeks to get everything, get appointed and do all that. But things are settling in, and we're rolling now. I've got a month under my belt and hit some target numbers first month. So in the middle of training and everything else, I thought it went well. So.
Yeah, sleeping better these days?
Yeah. Prior to, it was 4 a.m. every morning. Wake up 4 o'clock and grab my laptop and strategize for 2 hours while everybody slept. But that's settled down now.
And one of the first questions you would ask yourself is, why did I do this? Oh, yeah, that's why.
Yeah, that's why.
You mentioned a captive agent versus an independent insurance agent. And I'm going to let you go ahead and explain kind of the difference and why being that independent agent's a big deal for you.
Well, yeah, I started my career with Liberty Mutual back in 2015, and I worked with them for about 15 months, and then had the opportunity to come to Smithfield, come back home. I was battling that Raleigh traffic, and had the opportunity to come back to JOCO with Farm Bureau. And Farm Bureau is a great company. I had my personal insurance with them for 29 years, and was an agent with them for 5.5. But there was some restrictions there. I just kept telling people, no, we don't do that. There's certain things we didn't carry. And as things went on and I progressed in my career, there was several little niches developed that I really, really enjoyed doing. One of them was senior care insurance. I enjoyed working with the Medicare clients, which was not part of North Carolina Farm Bureau's purview. It was, our Blue Cross Blue Shield affiliation, but I was just with them. But I really enjoyed doing that, and I really enjoyed working with the small businesses. So as I jumped ship, those were kind of two of the things that I focused on. But now, rather than having one company to write auto home, one company to write life, I've got 8 to 12 carriers that I can write auto and home with. I've got multiple carriers for life. I've got multiple carriers, 20 or more for small business commercial. So it just gives me options so that I can help my clients with a wide range of situations.
I'm going to throw myself into this group that I'm about to ask you about, but I would assume most Americans like me that have insurance are probably underinsured. Would I be close to correct?
I would say so, especially right now. If you've not had a home review in the last 2 years since COVID, I can almost guarantee you're underinsured on that aspect, because when the lumber prices went sky high, building prices went up, supply and demand went up, supply chain shortages, it created a dynamic in the home insurance world, that home prices skyrocketed. And home building prices now, a 1,500 square foot house, we used to, in very generic terms, we used to quote stuff out in this area at about $100 a square foot. In Raleigh, it's always been a little bit higher than that. In Wake County and some of the more metroplex places, but in JOCO, it's been $100 a square foot. Well, now that same 1,500 square foot house is selling for almost $300,000.
Wow.
And there's people, and then there's people that are still insured for 150, 160, 170. And if they had a catastrophic loss right now, they'd be in trouble. So yes, I would say that too. And also on auto insurance, I would say 75, 80% of people that I deal with, they don't understand. When I tell them state minimums at 30, 60, 25, they have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
And so we educate our clients here, because I want you to know what you have. And when you have a loss and you're I told this exact same story to a client. I said, when you're standing in front of the burning ashes of your home and you call me and I come see you, the one question that I want to be able to answer is, Steve, am I covered? I want to be able to look you confidently in the eye and say, absolutely. So we do a lot of education before we sell products to make sure our clients know what they have, make sure they're adequately covered. Because the worst thing I could do is to stand there and say, I'm sorry, but you're not going to have enough to rebuild this. And I don't ever want to be in that situation.
And one of the things I've learned in BNI is to shop local. I think there's certain people you should have their cell phone numbers, your banker, your financial advisor, certainly your insurance person. For me, my chiropractor. Everybody's different. But they need to be able to call you and I'm not knocking any national company, so don't take it this way. But if you're living here and I'm working the switchboard in Seattle, I mean, I can pull your name up on the screen. I can tell you what you got, but is that really a priority for me? And the answer is no, but I'm not knocking the people in Seattle. But for you, when your neighbor 2 blocks away has something wrong, you're a priority for him.
It is. And to speak to that, I represent several of these national companies now. But I'm the first point of contact. So when they have a problem, eventually are they going to talk to somebody in Seattle? Possibly. Mm-hmm. But they're going to talk to me first.
Right.
And when they have a problem, they have a question, they're going to have me. And my cell phone number's on all my cards. You just popped it up on the screen. I mean, that's the personal service that we can give is here's my cell phone, here's my email, call me, text me, and I'll get to you. Now, I'm a one-man show right now because I'm chief cook and bottle washer here, but eventually, we're going to bring some folks on when this thing gets up and going to the point where we can sustain that, and I'm going to have staff, but for right now, it's, you might call, leave me a message, but I will get back to you, and we'll work it out, and we'll handle it. I think that is very true local, and that's what I love about being here in small town Pine Level. Is all these storefronts here is local, and I know these people by name, and I shop here, and it's just I love shopping local.
And for those of you, if you're not familiar with the Triangle, when Steve mentioned Joco earlier, that's Johnston County. It is one of the smaller populated areas for now, but it's growing quick. Wow. And Pine Level, we were laughing about this before we came on the air. Pine Level, you said, has how many residents?
It was like 2,188 according to the 2020 census. That's going to change. Johnston County for many years now has been the fastest growing county in the state. Clayton has become Raleigh suburbs. And it's just everything's kind of filtering this way. And it got to 95, Highway 95, and stopped. Now we're east of 95, so now it's beginning to cross over 95 and come this way. We were chatting earlier, there's a subdivision coming right behind my shop with 300 houses in it. They're going to start building here soon. So, they say location.
Yeah.
Well, their insurance guy's going to be right around the corner because I'm going to be hitting every one of them.
I know there's a big Amazon plant coming. What else is coming that way?
There's a lot. They're building. There's a food court coming right off of 95 there in Selma, which is just a few miles down the road. Mm-hmm. They're putting in apartment complexes. They're going to have an international. I don't think they call it a food court. I'm not sure exactly. Food hall.
Oh, okay.
It's a food hall. And where the old JR building used to be, they're putting in a dozen or so international cuisine. So the first food hall of its kind.
Wow. And
it's coming right down here in Selma. So we'll have some good lunch opportunities. They're going to have Cuban food and Thai food and a little bit of everything.
Look out.
And then yes. I mean, this part of the county is a wonderful opportunity for growth here.
Yep. Because
they're putting in. I talked to a guy that works in the school system. I'll not tell his name because I don't want to incriminate him. But he told me he already gets enough bad press just by working in the school system. But he told me if they stop issuing building permits, there's still 19,000 houses to be built in Johnston County before they issue another permit.
Wow.
So that's big. I mean, there's a lot of people moving down here. So it's good for, on all fronts. We're going to ensure my wife has cooking. She teaches cooking classes. So we're going to insure them. We're going to teach them how to cook. We're going to tell them about Jesus, and we're going to get them to join the Jeep Club so we can have some fun.
And I think in 10 years you can tell your daughter, because you're born and raised JoCo. Yeah. And I think in about 10 years when you and your daughter are driving around one day, you can just look at her and go, this ain't your dad's JoCo. But progress is good, especially if you own a small business.
It is.
Clear one thing up for me with regard. Let's go back to the house fires, the flooded house, situations like that. We should not be calling the claims department first. Shouldn't we call our local agent and then navigate that way?
Yes. I mean, that's my philosophy.
Yes.
Right. And if you cannot get up with your local agent, then by all means you call the claims company. But a lot of folks, and I tell people that, I say, if you have a problem, call me. And I can tell you next steps, because you can tell them in the office, here's what to do. But when there's, and I can sit here and tell you story after story after story. I've had countless people call me beside the road and say, Steve, I'm looking at my car and it's smoking because somebody just T-boned me. There's airbags. I mean, you could hear it in their voice. I've had numerous people call me and say, what do I do? You know, where do I go from here? And then just to hear the voice on the other line say, listen, call them by their first name. Listen, I'm glad you're okay. Don't worry about the car. That's why you got insurance. We'll fix that. Here's next steps.
Yeah.
And for me, it just adds a level of peace. That's what we sell. We sell a very intangible product. We sell a promise, basically, that we're going to promise to fix your stuff. And to hear that from a local, somebody that you know, to hear them say, look, don't worry about it. I got you. You know, we're going to take care of you.
Yeah, because what I heard, and I believe I processed it right, that every time you call the claims department, I don't want to use the word ding on your coverage, but there kind of is, whether there's a claim or not.
Well, everybody handles that differently, but, you know, when you notify and file a claim, it can have an adverse effect. Even if it don't pay out, you know, claims history is part of is what they look at in underwriting, is part of the underwriting process. So, you know, you want to make sure that you have a claim to be filed, right?
Yes.
And here's a perfect example. Most people that I write now will put $1,000 wind and hail coverage on their home for a deductible. $500 used to be standard, now $1,000 is standard. Well, I'll get a phone call. So, Steve, I woke up this morning, there's a shingle in my yard. One shingle. Well, the likelihood of you getting that shingle replaced, hiring a handyman to go out there and put that shingle back, it's not going to cost $1,000 to do that. If you're missing one shingle, that's not going to be a claim-worthy event. Now, if you come in and there's 1,000 shingles on your front yard, we got a problem. You know, we call and get that fixed, and we file that claim. But a lot of times, if a claim is not to the deductible limit, then that's what I tell people, you know, listen, as long as the roof's not leaking, get an estimate on it. Go get an estimate on what it's going to cost to be fixed. Get a professional to go up on the roof and look at it. And then if we think it's claim-worthy, you know, we'll call the adjuster to go out and take a look at it. And because I don't want you filing something that it's not going to pay out.
Yep.
In some cases, it hurts you. Some cases, it don't. But I would just tell them, say, listen, get an estimate. Let's take a look at it. And then we'll go from there. And after if water's pouring in the house, yeah, we got to do something.
And
but you
here's
can mitigate a lot of that prior to with just a little bit of information.
And here's the PSA today from me, and Steve, I believe, will confirm this. If you call a company to come out for an estimate, you may not know of them. You may have found them on the first page of Google, which your first conclusion is, oh, they must be legitimate and insured. No, not the case. If they show up with no lettering on the truck or the van, could be a red flag, maybe not. But ask them for a copy of their business insurance. Please do that. I mean, you got to find out if they're legitimate or not, because if they're not, you don't know what kind of work you're getting, and you've got no recourse if they mess up.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I would always get a COI, certificate of insurance, and have it on hand, and even referrals. You know, and that's what's great about BNI. You know, we know the people that we're referring. And typically, as you know, in the insurance world, the company I was with before, we had a kind of a maybe an unwritten rule or policy that we don't refer people in a claim situation because we don't want you to come back on us and say, well, you told me to use so and so and so and so. But what we had was a list of people. Hey, these are the people we've worked with in the past and had good success with. You might want to give these people a try. B&I, you know, we know these folks that are in B&I. We trust these people. We work with them. We see them every week. We know what kind of the quality of work they do. I don't have a problem giving a referral from B&I member because we know there's a standard that you have to uphold. But it is important to check them out, even if you refer somebody. And this is what I tell people, you know, this philosophy transcends the insurance world. When I'm preaching in the pulpit on Sunday, I say, listen, don't take my word for it. You go back to the source. You go back to the Word of God and read it and for yourself and learn it. Don't take my word for it. But same way with B&I. Even if I refer you for somebody, do your due diligence.
Yep.
Make sure they've got insurance, you know, because something might have happened between the last time I dealt with them and now, and they may not have insurance. So very key point, and I affirm that 100%, yes.
And so let's move on to your other life, your side hustle. I don't know which one's your side hustle. I think both of them are probably 40 hours a week if I ask you.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yep, you are the senior pastor of New Life Baptist Church. And
Yes,
I was
sir.
doing some reading. I do some a little bit intel on the show, so I know kind of what I'm talking about. And I hadn't thought of it till I read the article that you navigated the church through COVID. And it's almost been so long ago that since it started that we've forgotten about those first few months, or it's been going on forever. It's just the way we do things now. But you had to move your services outside your church for a while into your parking lot.
We did.
What was that like? How did you communicate with the folks? What was their reaction? And how did you keep everybody together?
Well, first of all, we don't have a gigantic church anyway. Prior to COVID, we've a fairly small congregation. However, COVID did a couple of things for us. Number one, it really bound us together as a group, and that's we've always been a strong group anyway. But COVID really solidified that, I believe, because when we had to make the transition and had to make the adjustments to outside worship, you know, we did online for a couple of weeks, and I'm very relational. You know, I want to see my people. I don't want to go, they're not my people, but I'm their shepherd. So I want to lay my eyes on them, right? I mean, doing the computer stuff is fine, but I want to see you, right? Because I can look in your eyes and tell if something's going on versus just standing in front of a camera and giving a sermon. So we decided as a group that we were going to go outside, and we had the sound equipment that we were able to pull out there and do. And we only did it for a few weeks because of certain circumstances. It just, I mean, it was in, you know, March, April, May, so it was springtime, very windy at times. And, you know, I'm out there preaching and my papers are blowing away, my Bible's blowing. I mean, it was difficult. And our sound system had little gremlins in it. It would go in and out, in and out. And I finally got frustrated one Sunday morning. I said, you know what? I said, we're meeting into church next Sunday. I don't care what anybody says. And my wife's in the front. She's in the car. She's in the front seat of the car going, oh, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. So long story short, the next week, Steve Bizzle, the sheriff, put out a public service announcement or a blurb or something and said, listen, let's have church. Let's get back to worship. And our church felt like we could worship indoors, and we were small enough, we had a big enough building that we could socially distance without it being an issue. We could have done that from day one, but, you know, we're not the only church out there. But so Steve Bizzle said, hey, let's have church. Well, like an idiot, I got on Facebook and said, hey, New Life Baptist Church is having worship services indoors on Sunday.
Yeah, boy.
And WRAL got a hold of that and called me within an hour of me putting that out there and wanted to do a news report on it. They wanted to interview me. Well, the second dumbest thing I ever did was say yes to that. And so they called and we did a little Zoom FaceTime thing, and they put that on the news. And within 24 hours of that broadcast, we were getting death threats. We were getting people saying, I hope your whole congregation gets COVID and dies. I hope just hope you all get sick. I hope if you get sick, don't go to the hospital. I mean, it was just,
yeah,
it was a lot. It was a lot. But we navigated through that, and people are going to be people. And, we did not have a COVID case in all of 2020 in our congregation. We started trickling. We had a couple, my wife and I, and my daughter got it. She got it from school, September of 21. And brought it home to us. And we've had a couple of cases, sporadically through the congregation, but not because of our meeting together. It was just they got it somewhere else and brought it in. But it was difficult to navigate, but we came through it, and just like a lot of other people did. I think the success story with us is a small church rallied around, what we were going to do as a body, and we stuck to it, and we navigated the storm. And we came through it on the other side, and we survived. We survived COVID, and the church didn't die. The church didn't go away. Our giving, our funding did not stop, and we're here today to tell about it. And we've had numerous baptisms since last fall, and got 2 more scheduled coming up. So, the Lord's blessing. He's saw us through this, and I think now we're on a steady incline of growth.
You went to College of Southeastern for biblical studies. How far back growing up was this your goal to pastor your own church?
I'll tell this story. I was 24 years old when I gave my life to Christ. It was in 1997. And even then, in 93 when I got married, 1993, if you'd have told me that in 11 years I would be a pastor of a church, I'd have probably cussed you out and told you were crazy. That's just how I was. I mean, so it was not on my radar at all. But over the span of about a year, the Lord really just dealt with me and pursued me and called me into ministry. And after running from it for about a 12-month span, I finally succumbed to it and said, yes, I'll do it. And I quit a full-time job. I was working at a Hudson's Hardware in Clayton as the outdoor power equipment manager. And I quit that and went to school full-time for ministry. And he really confirmed that call during that time. And I started pastoring a church in October of 2004.
Wow.
And I served as interim for several churches until the first full-time pastorate came along in 2008. And I did that for 4 years. And then we had 2012 was a rough year for my family. My wife's father passed away in January. My mom died in August. Both of them had cancer. And then we resigned the church in December, and it was just completely burnt out and just really in a rough spot. And we took some time to recover from those losses, and ended up at a church at 4042, and really had a wonderful 18 months there to recover. And God called us to new life, and I've been there ever since 2014 or 15 or something, but maybe 20. This is my 8th year, I believe.
I think it was 15, what I read, yeah.
15, yeah. I can't never remember that.
Now, just for the Sunday, excuse me, just for the Sunday service alone, how much prep time during the week goes into that?
Typically a sermon from start to finish probably takes, you can put as much time as you want to in it, but you can, 10 hours is probably one sermon.
Wow.
To study from the background to praying through it to just working through it. But I will tell you this, 2 weeks ago, I woke up, thought I was going to do a sermon, and when I got to church that morning at 9 o'clock, it was like, no, you're doing the whole thing, and something completely different. So in a span of about 30 minutes, we had a completely different sermon. And so it just depends. I mean, it really depends. But it's you can put I would say the scholars tell you 10 hours is probably the norm for a well prepared sermon. I've done them in 30 minutes. I've done them in 2 hours. I've done them in 10 hours. It just depends on,
Yeah.
you know.
Will a theme come into your head? I assume this is very basic, and I assume a lot of it is kind of like a songwriting. You'll hear a word, you'll hear a phrase, somebody will tell you a story, and then you're like, oh, you know what? I need to work on that. I think there's something there to learn from.
Occasionally, you know, if you're preaching topically, then absolutely you do that. You put those nuggets down and write them down. And for me, though, Southeastern taught that expository preaching, right? Expository preaching. You take a verse of scripture, you take a passage. So like right now, since January 1, we've been in the book of Revelation. Which is I've been in ministry now for 18 years, and I've never ventured into Revelation. It took me 18 years to be confident enough or bold enough to preach that. So since January, we've been in Revelation, and I like going through a book all at one time, because you can go verse by verse, chapter by chapter, and you know where you're going to be the next week. You just pick up where you left off and just go through it. And right now we're halfway through. We just got through chapter 11, and we're in some of the tribulation period. So I told my crowd, I said, listen, let's take 2 weeks off. All this death and destruction we're talking about. Let's talk about something good. So we did 2 sermons, week before last and then this week. And then next week we're going to jump back into Revelation just to kind of so we can finish it up by the end of the year. But I do book by book preaching.
Okay.
I mean, I've preached through almost every book in the New Testament in the last 8 years I've been there. And then we've done some Old Testament stuff, Daniel, and we've worked through some of the Psalms and stuff. But I like doing it that way. And then when I get those little nuggets and you put them in there, then if you get a topical weekend or something, you in between books, you can throw a couple of those in there. But yeah, it's pretty much like writing a song. You know, you old Baptist preacher said one time, I said, I get up on Sunday morning, I give them 3 points, a poem, and a leg split, and we're done. You know.
You had mentioned earlier your wife, Tanya, and I know that you have to have that support as well with either job you do. Now that you have both of them, it's even more important. I always like asking the question here, how did you and Tanya meet, and do you both tell the story the same way?
Oh, yeah, we do. It was back in 92. I had just come home from college, didn't have a job. It was the week before Christmas, and my aunt was working at the shoe show in Selma. And she casually said, hey, look, we're hiring part-time help for Christmas. If you want to come work a week, make you a little Christmas money, you can do that. So I did, and the first day there, selling shoes, you know, like Al Bundy on Married with Children. I was a shoe man. And she told me, she said, there's this cute little girl coming in. She works here in the afternoon. She's still in school. And she'll be here about 3 or 4 o'clock. Well, when she walked in the door, I was absolutely speechless. Just didn't have the words to say. And I followed her around that store like a puppy dog for a week. And that's how we met. And we met on the 18th day of December, and the 26th day of December, we started dating. We were both dating other people. We broke that off. We started dating on the 26th of December, and we got married on June 23rd. And we just celebrated 29 years.
Nice.
Together.
Congrats. So when did she get on the same page and think, all right, there may be a little bit of potential worth investigating here?
About day 3.
Let's see. You were at the moment.
It took me 2 days. Oh, it was day 1 for me. It was the first minute I saw her. I was like, she had a blue dress on. I mean, I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Never forget that. So, yeah, it took me a few days to warm up to her. She thought she was going to marry a lawyer. Yeah. And here's this redneck driving a pickup truck, chewing tobacco with boots and jeans on. And she was like, you just not my type, man. I swept her off her feet, and here we are 29 years later.
Where was the first date?
The first official date was first night in Raleigh with the Akron drop, and her brother took us and chaperoned.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the request of her parents, no doubt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you know him at all before this?
No, I didn't know any of them.
And how old
Just met her.
How old was her brother at the time?
I'm not sure how old he is. He's a few years older. Tanya's the middle child.
Okay.
So it was the brother, then her, and then her sister. And yeah. But yeah.
I was kind of hoping
short courtship.
Yep, I was kind of hoping for like a 17 or 16-year-old brother that the rule was he had to sit between you two wherever you sat.
No, we were too crafty for that. We would have found a way around that.
And did her brother have to give a report to mom and dad? Probably.
I'm sure they.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. They didn't like me all that much when we first started dating.
Why?
Her dad. Well, I was coming to take their baby away.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, and that happened.
Yep.
So six months later, we were married. So, in fact, I tell this story a lot. The night that I proposed to her, we went in. She had graduated high school on June 3rd, and we ended up getting married on June 23rd. So the night we went, I tried to do it the right way. I took her back to her house, and we told her mom and daddy, said, "Come on, sit at the kitchen table. We need to have a discussion." And her dad got missing. Me and her and her mom went on in the kitchen. Her dad come out a few minutes later and laid a .38 pistol on the table in front of me. He said, "What is it you want to talk to me about, boy?"
Yep.
So
the only way to go. Yep.
Yeah.
Love that. But he obviously gave his permission, right? His blessings.
Well, no, we eloped. Yeah, we ran off to South Carolina. We told them on Sunday and got married on Wednesday.
And how did that go over?
Lead balloons. It didn't go well at all. But you know, they said we'd never make it, and here we are 29 years later. So
yeah.
Defied the odds. Yeah, it's a cool story. A lot of details I left out, but yes.
And who knew? With what she thought she was going to marry, ended up with a Southern preacher, huh?
Yeah,
who loves Jesus,
and finally who loves Jesus and Jeeps, and who finally has made his way to the white collar world of insurance, and she's finally where she thought she would be 29 years later.
There you go. And she runs Tanya's Tables.
She does. She teaches cooking classes.
Cooking classes. So, do you have any role in the type of classes, the food that maybe you want to learn to cook, and you figure others would as well?
No, I'm the dishwasher. That's her expertise. That's No, we collaborated on some stuff because I've got the marketing mind, and so we come up with about 50 classes that she could offer, and we kind of put all that together in a strategy session, several strategy sessions, as she was getting this off the ground. But she's done, I've lost count now, in excess of 30 classes since January. And she does those out of our home, and 5 to 7 people at the time. And her favorite class is homemade biscuits. How to make homemade biscuits.
I saw that one.
Most popular.
That was my second favorite one.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by the pizza and ice cream class.
Oh yeah. Now we do those Little Helper classes. We called them Mommy and Me to start with, but then it kind of excluded the dads who wanted to come, so we call it Little Helper. But we've had grandparents bring their grandchildren,
I'm on
dads,
that one.
moms, and they learn how to make a homemade pizza, homemade ice cream, and brownie. And it's really, really, really good. But I'll tell you, and she could tell you more about that, but there's the stories that the responses that she gets from somebody who comes in and doesn't know how to do anything, and then calls her later and says, "Tanya, I just made dinner for my family for the very first time.
Yep.
We've been eating out of paper sacks and drive-thrus for years, and I just sat down and made a complete meal for my family."
Yeah.
That is she's told me that's the most fulfilling thing. I mean, other than her ministry work, but she's helping these young ladies that don't know how to cook bring that to their family, and it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, when I meet somebody in my generation, especially from the South, I don't know if it was big up north. I just know of it having grown up in the South, was homemade ice cream. And it would usually involve 3 or 4 neighbor families. and we get the ice, get the cream in there, get the rock salt, start turning it, throw some strawberries or blueberries or whatever the flavor of the day was, and the kids would turn till it got too hard to turn. Then the dads or the moms came in and finished doing that. But man, homemade ice cream, wow, is that worth the work?
Oh yeah. Well, now, so Cuisinart has got a machine where you put the little tub in the freezer and you get it cold, and then you just put it on the counter and plug it in, and you put your stuff in there, and it churns it, and you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, I get it, but still, half the fun hanging outside, catching fireflies, right? Taking your turn to. Oh yeah, man.
Oh yeah,
that was good stuff. Some strawberries in there. Peach was good too.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had a peach cobbler last night. She fixed us a little peach cobbler and some homemade ice cream last night.
There you go.
So it's good stuff.
Well, my grandson, we were just down in Charlotte this weekend, and so we're at the pool, and he's turning into be a daredevil in the pool, jumping and swimming and everywhere. But he does enjoy cooking. He's 4 and almost 2 weeks he's 4 and 2 weeks. And so I'll need to coordinate next time they're coming up here with what Tanya's Tables class is, because he would love that. We got him an apron and a chef's hat. Man, he's all about processes, because he cooks with my wife. The two of them, that's their gig in the kitchen. And they'll start, and she'll say something. He goes, "No, Lolly, that's the wrong order." So he'll know the order of things to do, especially muffins. And he loves hands-on, man. He is spilled and slopped and stuff, but he's going to stir it. He's going to mix it, everything like that. So I know that's a lot of fun for her.
It is fun, and I think the funnest class we did, we had probably 6 or 7 kids in there, and I was in there with Ella, with her, and we had this little boy he's affiliated with our church, and it come time to knead the pizza dough. And Tanya told him, she said, "You can be as rough with this as you want to be. Like with homemade biscuits, you got to be real delicate. Mm-hmm. But with pizza dough," she said, "you can just beat this to death, man." And I looked over, and he had his forearm, and he was smashing it down on the table, and he was beating that dough. And it was, I was hilarious. We just died laughing at that little boy. But he was doing exactly what she said. He said, "You can be as rough with it as you want to be."
A little WWE work right there.
I'm telling you, man. He's auditioning for the ring.
All right, so you fall into another category that I have nothing to do with, know nothing about, but I've heard of it. Jeep enthusiasts. Here's what I've learned. It is a very close community. There are hand signals driving down the road. You wave some certain way or out, what is it now? Show me that again. What is that supposed to mean?
It's just how you doing?
Okay, all right.
You got your grip around the steering wheel, and you just how you doing?
All right. And
I think it's a variation of the redneck wave. How are you? How y'all? How's your mama and this?
I like that. I believe that. I'm sold on that. Whether it's true or not, I would bet $2 on that in Vegas. Yeah. And the other thing, man, is there is no end to money you can put into your Jeep, is there?
I spent $4,000 on that before I made the first payment on it.
Yep.
So it was but it's done. I've not put anything on it in a while. But yeah, it's you can do as much or as little as you want to do to it. I bought that on a whim. It was the truck prices had gone sky high, and I had an opportunity to sell. I had a GMC Sierra, and I had an opportunity to sell that and make a little money on it. And I wanted to kind of get something to play with, a little midlife crisis. I had looked at a Camaro and I had looked at a Mustang, and my car guy was like, "Steve, I'm telling you, you are not going to like that, getting in and out of those little cars every day because you are." He said, "You're a full-grown man. You don't need to get in a Mustang every day. Plus, you'll have tickets." So this Jeep rolled up on his lot one day, and I went over there and bought it that day. And I wish if I'd have known we were going to talk about this, I'd have some pictures up for you to show you the before and after, because it looks like 2 completely different vehicles. Yep. But it's a lot of fun, man. We've taken trips to we've gone to Uwharrie, we've gone to Boone, Valley Crucis area, and done some mountain climbing with it, rock climbing. We've gone up to Gatlinburg and taken it up there, and then we've taken it to the beach. We took it over to Davis Island on the ferry and camped overnight, went fishing.
All right, so that's the story I want, because before we came on the air, you and Amnon were talking about Jeeps, and you were talking about don't take the doors off.
Yeah, well, you can take the doors off. We've got some open air doors, metal tubular doors. You can take the doors off, and we put those on there because I got a 9-year-old, and I got to have something there, you know. So we were cruising down to Davis Island that day with the doors off, and really wanting a big hurry, and it was fine. We cruised around the beach, drove on the beach the whole weekend, and then on the way home there was a threat of rain. And so I was trying to get home before we got wet, because at the top, I think we had, I'm not sure if we took the top off for that or not. I think we might have kept the top on and took the doors off. But coming home, man, we were running 70 miles an hour to get home, and the wind just about killed my 9-year-old in the back. She was about to freeze to death. She was wrapped up in 2 blankets, and you couldn't hear yourself talk because the doors were just open with mesh. So she asked us when we got home, she said, if we ever do that again, can we take the doors with us?
Yes.
And take them and switch them out when we get there. And that would have been a much better idea. But, yeah, you live a lot of lessons to learn with that Jeep. But it's so much fun, man, with the top down and doors off. And it's the closest thing to riding a motorcycle without being on a motorcycle.
Well, and I laugh every now and then when you're driving down the interstate in a heavy rainstorm, and underneath underpasses you see either Jeep owners or motorcycle owners.
Yeah. I got hemmed up before. It's funny, before I rented this building, I parked out here one day and was just counting cars to see how many cars were coming by to find out what kind of location this was, just doing my due diligence. And it wasn't supposed to rain, and the next thing I know, it fell a flood, and I didn't have the top on. Nice. So I'm boogieing down Pine Level trying to find a shelter, and ended up pulling in a church parking lot and pulled under their little canopy there at the fellowship hall and waited it out till I got dry. But yeah, you can get in trouble with that. But there's drain plugs in the floor, under the floor mat. So
okay.
You can let all the water out. But
let's assume business goes well, church goes well, Tanya's happy, everything good like that. What's the next progression in the Jeep ownership world from where you are today?
Well, I think somebody asked me the other day, said this would be cool if you would, when you get employees, if you would buy them your company vehicle, let it be a Jeep. Because we got it lettered up with Grice Insurance Solutions and everything.
Jeez.
But I think,
that's not a good idea.
That's nuts. Yeah, that's nuts. I really think the Jeep has a thing called Badge of Honor, and there's you can get a Jeep app and look all across the country. There's these trails where if you go do the trail, they'll send you a badge to put on your Jeep. Well, URE down right below Asheboro has one, the Dickie Bell Trail, and we actually did that last year, and I got my badge.
Nice.
We did it back in, I think it was in April, March or April. We went down and did that, and a lot of fun. But I want to go and accumulate some of those. They're all the way from Utah to the Rubicon Trail, California, Texas. They're all over the United States, and I'd love to take that and ride cross country and just experience some of these trails.
And the ladies enjoy the Jeep life.
They do. They do, man.
Can I
Put the lab in the back.
Yep. Can I assume we blare country music going down the road?
That's a fair assumption.
Good. I like it already. So,
Yep.
Anyway, Steve, enjoyed having you on today. Good luck with Grice Insurance Solutions. Good luck with Smithfield Group, folks. If you're in the Smithfield area, 8 a.m. every Tuesday at the Building Industry Association's offices. What street is that on?
It's Bridge Street, 301 Bridge Street.
Yep.
But for local folks, it's right across the street from the post office.
There you go.
The old bank, the stone building that used to be the bank.
All right, so 3 things for you. 1, a successful new business. 2, a successful new chapter. And 3, keep sharing the good word and helping us all out. I know you enjoy both of those, big part of your life and who you are and what you do. So we've been putting Steve's phone number up on the screen. If you ever just need to check in and see, hey, Steve, here's what I got. What do you think? Right? Free consult. You'll let him know, yes, no, maybe. Just, like I said, I'm a big fan of shop local. Just, I need a cell phone number because if I got a problem, and that happened with me a few years ago, I got T-boned one night. Called my insurance guy at, this would have been almost 9:45 at night. Popped up, called him. He jumped on the phone, and we figured out things, and it was It was a comfort, no, because I mean, the airbags. First time I'd ever been in a car where the airbags went off, and let me tell you, I just had to get out. Yeah, I got out of the car, out of the van. By the way, and I just bought the van probably 3.5 weeks ago. So please buy Gap insurance. That's another podcast we'll talk about. Cost me about $5,000. If they ever say, "Do you want Gap insurance?" The answer is yes. And I just got out of the van, laid in the grass for a minute just to collect everything. I was, body was okay. I had some scrapes on my face, but just laying in the grass thinking, like, what in the world? I thought I had hit something. That's how hard it was. I thought there was nobody coming at me. And then all of a sudden, this car from my right just T-boned me out of a side road in an intersection. And I thought I'd hit something head on. I have no idea what it was because there was nothing coming at me. But, man, that's a scary moment.
It is. And I had that same experience. I T-boned a lady who pulled out in front of me. She ran she had a caution light, and she turned in front of me, and I hit her. And when the first airbag experience I ever had, too, and I thought the car was on fire.
Wow.
But it was the dust from the airbag. But same thing, man. I got out and laid down in the median, and it's a traumatic experience. And to have somebody that you can call and kind of ease your mind about it is a big deal.
Yep. All right. Well, good luck with everything. Like I said, folks, if you just need to check and see what you got, if it's the right thing, Steve's an independent agent. He can, like he told you at the beginning of the show, there's a lot of people he can call to get you not only the best rates. Don't be hooked on the best rate. Be hooked on the best coverage. Yes.
That's right.
So you are properly covered for any instance, and you don't have to worry about it. So anyway, Steve, had a good time. Good luck with everything. I'll see you all in the meeting in a couple weeks here.
Sounds good, Mike. Thanks for having me on, and I appreciate it. And good luck with your personal endeavors too. I know you got some exciting news hopefully coming up.
Got a granddaughter coming here in the next 10 days, so I'm laying low from all meetings anywhere so I don't get COVID. I don't want to get anybody sick. But yeah, we're just down there this weekend. Mom's doing good. She's ready to deliver for all the moms out there. I believe you know that point in that. But yeah, just waiting. Hopefully the next 6, 8, 9 days we'll have a granddaughter. And so I'll be having even more pictures to show everybody.
There you go.
But anyways, enjoyed it, and we'll see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.
Vice versa, we'll talk about world stuff. Actually, we'll watch a little bit of the news just to see what's going on, and I'll ask his opinion on stuff. And I'm very curious. So if he tells me something that's going on at work, a lot of times I'll ask just because I want to understand what he's talking about. Yeah. So I'll ask a lot of questions. So sometimes we'll do that. And Jim's really smart and he's very insightful on things. So a lot of times if I have an issue with something I'm going through at work or, in life, I'll ask him and he'll help me out. Even if it's with my work in terms of, hey, what do you think of this drawing or this, this design I just did? And so that at that point, he's not the silent J, but, once he says something that maybe I don't agree with, it's like, okay, you're silent again.
Yeah. Does he have a pretty good eye for designs and logos?
He does for when he sees something, but if he had to actually do something, not so much.
Okay.
But he's great at ideas and everything like that. So, yeah.
I always like to ask people, married folks on the show. So I will ask you, how did you and Jim meet? And do you both tell the story the same way?
Okay. Well, so he's not here right now, but
you can say whatever you want if he's not there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, we actually met at work. We both worked at the same software company in Tulsa. and worked in the same department. So, got to know each other then. Then we became friends, and probably after a couple years, maybe 2 or 3 years, we started to date. And 28 years later, here we are.
Do you remember where the first date was?
I do. It was at a bar called Sunset Grill, which was very popular in Tulsa. They always had live bands. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. There's always like groups of us going there. And then, Jim and I went out there. And there was one time, I don't think this was on our first date there. I think it was on a subsequent date. But they have, on the parking lot, they had entrance and exit. And, it's kind of clearly marked. But I know Jim went in the exit instead of the entrance. And there was a cop in there, kind of pulled him over and talked to him for a while. I got out and went in. So I don't remember if he got a ticket or what, but I think they were just trying to enforce, this is the entrance, this is the exit. So yeah, that's a little embarrassing, but kind of funny at the same time.
Yeah, but you wisely walked inside, had a good time waiting on him.
It's like, bye, I'll see you.
Yeah. Why the 2 years before you started dating?
Well, he was previously married. They had been divorced, and he has 2 wonderful daughters. They're in my stepdaughters. They're both in Florida now. Have 4 grandkids, but nice. So we didn't want to, just getting out of a relationship. You don't want to rush anything. So we had been friends, so we just kind of stayed friends, and then it's like, let's go out on a date. So we did.
All right. So you're 28 years into this. You're feeling pretty good about it, right?
Feeling pretty good about it.
I like that.
Yeah. There's good times and bad times. But fortunately, mostly good times.
Well, good.
And lots of laughter. That's what I love. We make each other laugh. So.
Good. No, I'm with you on that. All right. If somebody's thinking they got to get their word out, their image out, what's a couple things they need to think about?
Well, I think one of the main things is their target audience, because if knowing the target audience will help you know which direction to go in terms of how to advertise or market. Like, do I want to do social media? Do I want to do a print ad? Like a lot of the older generation, they still, not all of them, of course, but a lot of them do still like to, read something. Mm-hmm. And the younger generation is more on the phones. Oh yeah. So you want to do something that they can easily pull up on their phones and everything. And also knowing your target audience, say your target audience is doctors, then you don't want to advertise to, I can't think right now, but to a place who their target audience might be agriculture, something like that. So, and you got to just make sure within your message that you are doing that as well, like with your fonts, with your words, with your pictures, like with, if you are, say, doing a design for an auto mechanic, you don't want to use frilly fonts and pastel colors, stuff like that. So you need to have your message and your audience and your branding work. The branding is really important that you keep that on track. And so I had done a logo for, it's been a while. I don't even remember which industry this was for. But when I do a logo, I do several designs that they can, see if they like that direction, and we'll tweak it from there. So I gave them, like I said, several designs, and they liked several of them. They're like, okay, I want to use this one on the website, this one on the letterhead, this one on the business card, this one on. It's like, no, you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that. It's like you're going to make it really hard for your customers to know who you are. You need to keep the same branding, your same look and feel across everything. And I'll work with web designers sometimes to make sure that we have the same cohesive look with the web design and the print design, because that's very important as well. If you're looking at somebody's website and you've seen their business card, you want them to be able to go, oh, that's the ABC company. Yeah, that's who I want to call.
Yeah,
so I see a lot of that.
Yeah, and my biggest problem with some businesses, when they're coming up with their company name, they outthink themselves, and they come up with this Latin word that means like 22 different things, and people can't remember. They certainly can't spell it or pronounce it usually, and they can't remember it. And no, just, common sense, come up with a name that's a little easier, but sometimes people just outthink themselves.
That's true. It might be something really clever and cool, but if you're the only one who knows that it's clever and cool, then, what's the point? So maybe in your tagline or something, if you want to do something more clever and cool, but if people are going to, search for you, you definitely want it to be something easy and memorable, and something that somehow tells what you do or gives you an idea of what you do. And all company names don't do that, but sometimes you can tell by, the graphic that might be with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wish people would think from the consumer end to the name instead of from the name to the consumer end.
Right. And that's, again, why it's important to know who your target audience is. Yeah. I mean, you can have multiple, audiences, but like if you're doing a campaign for, like if you're focusing on meeting builders and realtors and stuff like that. I mean, you want to gear your stuff, not your logo and everything, but you want to gear your materials, your flyers, your ads and everything toward that market. And if you want to, if you're targeting doctors and the medical staff for a campaign, you want to do something that clearly represents them. So now there's times, of course, when you're trying to reach everybody, but as we say in BNI, we don't want to say who are you looking for. Everybody. It's because specific is terrific.
Can't help them. And math says you cannot help everybody in a given week. So
I know, and I found that's one of the hardest things to grasp in BNI.
Yes,
at least at the beginning. So
I agree. Well, Joan, we've appreciated this very much, folks. If you are looking to get your image out there in a more professional way, and you need some good verbiage and a good logo, you can certainly go to J&J Desktop Publishing. We've been putting Joan's phone number on the screen. You can give her a call, and especially if you're in the Fayetteville area, you already got a successful professional there, so please give her a call. We've had a lot of fun today talking Cats and OU football with you, Joan.
Yeah. Hey, now the Sooners are going to play, I believe it's Texas A&M.
No, A&M
in the college.
A&M beat Texas last night. I think Oklahoma's in the other. I think they're in the other bracket.
Well, we're in bracket 1 still.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, because we beat Texas A&M the first game.
Oh, then you'll see them again.
Yeah,
okay.
And we beat Notre Dame last night.
Yeah, good.
So on to the next game. So.
All right. Well, good luck to your Sooners in Omaha.
Yes, thank you, and good luck to your Tennessee. I think you're not in the baseball, I don't think.
No, we're number 1 team in the country the whole year, and just kind of imploded against Notre Dame, and we got what we deserve. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we beat Notre Dame for you last night. So.
Well, I appreciate it. Anytime Notre Dame loses, I'm happy. So I appreciate you doing that. So.
I'm that way with Texas.
Yep, I hear you. Anyways, Joan, we've enjoyed very much. Good luck with J&J Desktop Publishing.
Thank you, Mike. You have a great day.
Thanks, and we'll see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.
Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Gal.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. And Nick is here.
Howdy. Morning.
Good morning. Our numbers 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. It is already hot outside.
We broke a record here in Wilmington. Let me see if I can get it. 4 consecutive nights. This is we broke since 1980, so 20 or 42 years. 3 or 4 consecutive nights with where the temperature failed to drop below 80 degrees. So for the last 4 nights, it has not dipped below 80 degrees Fahrenheit at the airport. But it's July in the it's amazing to me. I've only been in North Carolina 5 years. I say only 5 years. And it's amazing to me that every summer it's like people haven't been here before.
Yeah, no, I mean it's
this is not even close to the hottest July we've ever even had.
No.
Not even close.
It's but it's still hot. It's
Yeah, but it's July in the South.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
And pretty soon we're gonna complain that it's cold.
Oh, yeah.
That's
some folks.
That's how it goes.
True.
Yeah. When I moved in, one of my colleagues, he says, "So how do you find the weather in North Carolina?" And then he said, "If you don't like it, just wait 15 minutes." So, yeah.
Gal, is your light on?
My light is on. It's probably not on full. Maybe this.
Yeah, there you go.
You see, I
Good.
got me
Now we can
a
see
control panel next to me. It's easy.
So Gal, you were at a convention over the last couple of days in Raleigh, yeah?
Yeah, GalaxyCon. First time. I mean, it's not the first time for me in a con. The first one was the Comic-Con in Durham. That one, when it happened, that happened in the winter, in October, November time. This one is larger. It was a 4-day event. I went only for 2 days. My main goal was to see stuff related to Kevin Smith and Clerks, and enjoyed the all the cosplays, and it was really fun. There's something very that I find very interesting about these cons. It's like this congregation of people of such diversity in their interest, in where they come from, what they've seen, what they want. The combination of Disney fans, anime fans, comic book heroes, DC Marvel stuff, and a lot of Star Wars and Star Trek and all that, and which some of it is my fandom as well. And seeing everybody enjoying a place like this, it was really, really fun. I spent too much money a lot more money than what I thought I would on trinkets and stuff. Felt like a kid for a couple of days, which was really nice. So yeah.
Okay, let me
Definitely
ask
a
you
fun
this.
experience. Yeah.
And so I want to be careful how I word this. So when we went out to Infection Podcast, we went out to PAX a couple of times. We went to PAX East in 2017, and then PAX West in 2018 and 2019 out in Seattle.
Those are gamers conventions.
Yeah. It's called it's called the Penny Arcade. But it was a video game convention. It had all the big vendors: Microsoft, Sony, Activision, Blizzard. Before they were all all owned by Microsoft. Plus indie studios, a little bit of board gaming and stuff like that. Did you feel out of place at the con? Because that was one thing we always noticed, is we felt very out of place there. Now, we were obviously into the scene, but these are super fans. Like, these are people that live, breathe, sleep, eat, and die, whatever their thing is. And we were just kind of normal hobbyists, and we felt very out of place with that. Was it a similar thing for you?
I mean, there's that's what I mean by diversity also, is everybody on the spectrum of the fandom. Casual fans as well as hardcore fans, they were all there together. And the interaction was, there were other middle-aged people, just like me, not dressed up too much. I mean, all I had was like a witty t-shirt, right? I didn't dress up. I just watching everybody with the amount of detail they put in some of their costumes is just staggering, right? It was amazing. But it was I'm pretty sure that my experience there is completely different from their experience there, and that's what's so beautiful of that place, that it's a really, 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 really safe place for everybody to go there, interact, clash their worlds, right? I get to see them firsthand. They get to meet their peers. They get to show their passion and be appreciated by everybody. I don't know. It's I didn't feel I needed to fit anywhere. It's like I was there for my own stuff. Are they? Do I understand them? Do I feel I'm part of them? No, they have their own thing. As I said, my main thing was going there for Kevin Smith. He had a Q&A, which I bought tickets for, and we sat down in the audience for about 2 hours, and we just wanted to hear him speak some more, because the guy is an amazing storyteller. Now the room that we were in with him, we had it for 2 hours. In the itinerary, it was only an hour, so it was like we got everything that the fans in that room wanted. But by the time we got to the end, the outside of the hall, there was brewing like a huge crowd, because that hall would become some sort of party right after. Party, I think the title was Emo Party. And when we came out of that room into that crowd, right, everybody there is half my age, and most of them were dressed with stuff that I didn't even recognize. So I was definitely not part of their crowd, right? But it was still so amazing to see. And I think this is probably these events, and I don't know if gaming events are the same, because I haven't been to any, but I think these cons, these fandom cons, they are the most inclusive spaces that exist right now, because people, they allow themselves to be completely themselves, right? Or not completely themselves. They allow themselves to be completely immersed in their fantasy. Okay, so but it's also a place where they will not be mocked. They, if anything, they will be appreciated, right? And something about that mix, that bizarre mix of these people who sometimes live inside their head and can't fully understand society. They feel themselves they seem a lot safer in a place like this. So it was an interesting thing to see.
Yeah, and the inclusiveness, I think, is one of the things that we noticed, that it wasn't inherently a problem, but it seemed, and again, I haven't been to this GalaxyCon, so I'm speaking of PAX, way overdone. I mean, way overdone. That you've got certain spaces that are called, the LGBTQ floor, and just things that just aren't necessary. I mean, nobody.
But there wasn't anything like this here.
Yeah, and we found that to be very just over the top. It's like everybody's here because of a thing, as you mentioned, the Kevin Smith thing, or maybe you're a Star Wars fan, or was William Shatner there? Because isn't he always?
He's there today.
Okay, so yeah, Shatner's always at these cons. That's what people are there for. Like, nobody is there because they care about your sexuality. Like, it's just not a topic.
Well, yes and no. So remember that with some of the content, the more I don't necessarily mean even niche, but the stuff that maybe I'm not into, right, but others are, then some of the content is actually targeted completely at audiences with some different background, right, that come from dealing with their identity, as whether it's sexual identity or religion, or there's different. There was a panel that dealt with spirituality and fandom. In the creator booth, so there's always commerce, right? There's commerce by different vendors and different creators coming in there. I noticed a booth about helping people cope with their continuing to enjoy fandom, but still feel they are not leaving Christianity behind. Anything is open there. And everyone who wants to address something can have a place to speak and interact with like-minded people. Not everything there is for everyone. I think that's what's so unique about that space. It's not there is only one place that is important there. So yeah, it was really fun. I definitely think that if I have a chance to join another one, I'll do that. I can tell you it's exhausting for 2 days, basically, right? Going from panel to panel. For me as an attendant, right, it was exhausting just enjoying the thing. The logistics of something like this is absolutely amazing. I always try to understand the behind the scenes of stuff like this, and I find it fascinating. And yeah, I mean, I don't know who in our audience is interested in anything like this, but if you want to look at a bizarre, fantastic world, I would definitely recommend attending one of those cons as an outsider. Just, buy a ticket for a day, check out the panels, go listen. We sat down with some comic book writers, some with more renowned fandom and history. I think Larry David. No, I might be butchering his name because it's the first time I met him. But he wrote he wrote The Hawk for 12 years and X Factor for a while. And it was really interesting listening to his story about coming up with the characters and backstories of the history of comics. It was so listening to these people who create and do something that even I wasn't really versed in that universe, but just getting another anecdote of it, it's always interesting. And so it's just a really wholesome, fun place. It even if there is a room, right, that they're gonna talk about LGBTQ representation somewhere. It's might be not for me, right? I didn't join any of the. There was video gaming, and board gaming, which I haven't done in years, and I'm not that into. There was stuff about cosplay, how to cosplay, what to cosplay, how to not cosplay too risque, so you don't get trouble with the law, right? There were a lot of panels that were there, and most of them I wasn't in because I went to see some other stuff. I did see Katie Sackhoff. She came on talking about her roles, right, in Star Wars and Galaxy, Battlestar Galactica, and it was fun. Fun seeing the Q&A go through and the interaction with the fans. The Kevin Smith for me was awesome stuff. The entire cast of Clerks was there and they talked. So it was. I got to feel like a kid for a while, and it was nice.
Excellent.
And I hear from the people who saw Shatner last year, right? Because he's only showing up today. And some of them came to the con to see Shatner one more time. And they also felt like a kid when he came on the stage, right? It's and the guy, he knows how to hold the stage. He knows how to captivate the audience. And so it's always fun for meeting an aspect of your life that, was really, really remote, was this thing you were into, but here he is live on the stage. It's fun.
All right. I have a question, and it may be too simple for you guys. What is GalaxyCon? Well, I mean, I can understand Comic-Con. It means something. What is GalaxyCon?
It's just a different brand of a convention, and the differences are sometimes are just by this is a different company doing the same thing, or sometimes it's the focus itself.
So it covers science fiction.
The content. The content was part science fiction, but not. So I can tell you from what I saw in the audience itself, like who is the audience who came, and with what was available on the merchandise floors, right? The exhibition floor. So there were comic book artists, there were wrestling fans. There was a lot of wrestling content, yeah. So there were wrestling stars that fans could come up to their booth and get photos signed and get photographs with them. That is obviously was out of my world completely for me. But there were people who came for the wrestling stuff. There were wrestling matches between different comic and anime characters. So there was a wrestling arena that at the beginning of the day started with like a half an area, and then at the middle of the day it became like a double of the area for the finale for the evening. And the amount of people who filled that room and were excited about it was staggering. So that was a huge part of it. I guess this is something that happens on GalaxyCon and doesn't necessarily happen in the other cons, for example. So there was that aspect. There was a lot of anime, like Asian, Japanese style, Korean style animation content. So a lot of the costumes that people were coming in, a lot of the content that was sold, a lot of the artists that were creating stuff were in that genre. There was some Star Wars and Star Trek content, for example, but I didn't see a lot of other science fiction, unless you count the whole Avengers and DC and Marvel world, right? But those are not necessarily I mean, there's a lot of science fiction in them, but it's like they're the comic book world, right? So it's a different thing.
Okay.
And the celebrities, Katie Sackhoff and Guillermo, what's his name? Not Guillermo. Giancarlo Esposito, which are they're each they have their own repertoire. I mean, Giancarlo Esposito, he's an old timer, but because of his involvement with Star Wars lately, right? So there was this focus on Star Wars as well. So it's everything. If you look at the itinerary, one of the things they do is something called a cosplay meet, and it's like they schedule every hour a different cosplay meet, and the idea is to sort of take over two things. It's like a mix and match. It's like get to know other people who are interested in exactly the same fandom as you, and they meet in a single place once an hour, and so you get to know other fans, and
Okay.
obviously there's an option for connection. And the second thing is a photo op, right? You get to take a photo with all of your characters that you like from that world.
All right,
And
stop there a second and explain in short. Don't get into 2-minute details. What is cosplay? What is fandom?
Costume. Okay. Fandom. I am a fan. This is the domain of my fan.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
It's the world that I come from.
Okay.
Cosplay, costume, of playing in costume the characters that I love from that fandom, from that domain of fans.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. No, all right. That's for people who are not into it. This is
No, that's fine.
important to.
In the past, there were only one or two kinds. The Trekkies are probably the most famous ones, right? Those who love Star Trek. They actually had a name for it, and they would dress up as Star Trek, right? And that's how it started in these conventions. It started with the Star Trek crowd and the Star Wars crowds, right? Those were the most. This time, as you see Disney princesses and characters, you see everything there. There was a session with a Disney sing-along, right? Now the room was full with adults, like probably the average age there was 20-25. Okay, and Disney songs, sing-along songs on the screen, and the audience, which is costumed, in a wide range. You see robots, you see Darth Vaders, you see stormtroopers, you see anime characters, and they're all singing Disney songs. It's hilarious. It's a fun experience.
All
it's
right,
bizarre.
so everybody having fun.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, that's good. Stop there for a second, and you using banana, right? What do you call it? The mixer.
Oh, voice meter banana.
Yeah. I don't know how to control that, but Nick, do you hear the choppiness? The like overdriving?
Restart your audio engine and see if it clears up your mic.
Okay.
Yeah, you're kind of overdriving.
It's not overdriving. It's
It's not.
It's just choppy.
Okay. I mean, it's interesting. I've never been to any of these.
Is it better?
Yeah, but you need as you talk. We'll see.
Okay.
All right. I've never been to any of these
Take it.
conferences. It's interesting what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, if you Nick, if you feel out of place, kind of in PAX, I can just imagine how I would feel. I would feel completely way out of place.
In a way, I think every single person there feels out of place
You're still
in the
choppy.
real world. Feel choppy?
That's interesting.
I wish
Keep
I-
going. Keep going. Keep going. Say what
Yeah,
you
I wish I had the ability to hear what you're hearing.
Yeah, I know.
because
Finish what you were going to say. Everybody.
I think everybody there feels out of place. Every place, even there, it's because these are especially the people who go and cosplay and go into detail.
Yeah, but I
Um,
mean, these
I'll stop.
people live the stuff. I mean, like you said, I mean, I'm way on the outside, so it would. I wonder how it would. I mean,
Well, I can tell you one thing. You walk in with your jumper,
yeah.
right? And you will see that you are in no way bizarre,
Okay.
right?
I never think I'm
And
bizarre.
and still and still people will probably will ask you like, what's this about?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Interesting. So you
Okay.
had fun for 2 days.
Oh,
And I
definitely,
mean,
definitely.
these were not full days. I'm assuming Friday you worked.
No, I took Friday off.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So
Yeah.
how many hours did you spend there?
Probably 12 hours every day. Like
Wow.
came in around 10,
Okay.
10, 11 and left at around 11 midnight. So yeah,
And that was where?
in Raleigh, in the convention center in Raleigh.
Did you have any problems with parking, traffic?
No, $10 parking inside the like attached to the convention. The parking lot wasn't even full, like to capacity. So
Wow.
and it
Nice.
was full of people. They Saturday specifically, yesterday they were sold out. So it was full. And it was
Nice.
still, I mean, it was crowded, but it was okay. It was like it didn't feel
Nice.
like too
Nice.
constrictive. So I'm gonna reboot and you guys continue.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. There is something. We a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. We were talking about how Intel was saying that they're going to drop prices of CPUs. Remember that, or maybe? Well, now it looks like it's going the other way around. Intel has informed customers it will raise prices on a majority of its microprocessors and peripheral chip products later this year, citing rising costs. That's coming from Nikkei Asia. The big,
No, this is good.
it's good.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, the United States government just gave Intel $52 billion to build a chip plant in Ohio. So I think it's great that they're raising prices. I mean, what a joke. Can you believe this?
I
mean,
well,
you had this $52 billion.
Billion. We're talking billion with a B.
Billion for this CHIPS Act. What it's going to do is give these companies that build a chip plant in the U.S., Intel's going to build one in Ohio, a 25% tax break. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Right.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, and the story that I was reading, it's to counter Russia. I mean, how is this countering
It's not to counter Russia, it's
Russia?
counter China.
China, I mean, not Russia. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean,
so is this the new? This is the new approach.
look, they do what they can, what they know how to do. Nobody said
but-
that. Nobody said
but-
that the
but we
government is smart.
Yeah, but we don't. Like
Of
but
course
we
we
don't because we're not putting tariffs on things that China's importing.
Right.
China is ripping off intellectual property from the United States,
Right.
and we're not putting tariffs on it. You've
Yep.
got a great company out of Charlotte Pipe, that makes PVC. You've got Chinese companies that have ripped off their IP and are importing Charlotte Pipe branded piping into the United States with no tariffs.
Yeah.
The lunacy in all of this is just ridiculous. And Intel's going to raise their prices. Great.
Yeah, they said that they are the plans are to raise prices this fall on flagship products such as central processing unit for